Good morning, everyone. I wanted to give you a quick rundown of the rest of these synthesis essay research sources. So, as you know, yesterday we went over source A. Source A listed the reasons that someone would be tried for capital punishment in the state of Mississippi. This is the 2013 Mississippi Code. It also listed the reasons the jury would determine the cause of death. So I know it's a long reading, but it does include a list of things that would either improve the chances or lessen the chances of someone receiving the death penalty. Remember, this section would show the circumstances that would mitigate or lessen the punishment, meaning no death penalty. Source B is the excerpt from Rule 403 of the Federal Rules of Evidence, and it introduces the idea of unfair prejudice. And unfair prejudice within its context means an undue tendency to suggest decision on an improper basis, commonly, though not necessarily, an emotional one. So that is an idea that we have to introduce in your synthesis paper. You don't have to, but it might be effective too. So ask yourself, do victim impact statements create unfair prejudice when it comes to sentencing for the death penalty? Source C, one that we did not tackle together in class, is very important because it does include what a victim impact statement is and how one does create a victim impact statement. This would be the template that the victim or the victim's family would use to create and write their statement. And they answer such questions as, how has the loss of your loved one affected you and those close to you? Has this crime affected your ability to perform work, make a living, run a household, etc.? So you have to ask yourself, do these parameters create unfair prejudice in the minds of the judge and the jury? Let's move down to source D. Source D is a news article from 2008 about a Supreme Court's ruling in a 2008 case. And it is titled, Justice Allows Video Scrapbooks of Crime Victims. So if it's an entire video scrapbook as a victim impact statement, do those visual representations, do they add more emotion to the judge or the jury? And does that in turn create more unfair prejudice? These are questions that you have to ask yourself. Remember to read all of these sources closely and annotate effectively so you can always go back and read the main points. Scrolling down, you see source E, and this is another article. This is, well, not an article, but this is a study that discusses the effects of victim impact evidence on capital decision making. Here you see participants who viewed victim impact evidence. You see the death penalty much higher. Participants who did not view victim impact statements, death penalty not as high. Life sentence and life sentence without parole, much higher. So we do see a trend in those who view victim impact evidence, and in turn, they do impose the death penalty more. So we have to ask ourselves, is that fair? Why or why not? Source F simply includes an excerpt from Just Mercy. I will leave you to read this one and infer the main idea from Bryan Stevenson. But remember, the most important thing is to read all of these carefully and use 3 of them in your synthesis essay to really develop your argument on whether victim impact statements, whether they can be used or not used in capital punishment cases. Remember to reach out if you have any questions or concerns, but the rest I leave up to you and your independent reading. Thank you. Have a good day.